Yeah.
Then all of a sudden the bill drops through the door.
Well, you maybe should do that every once in a while, though.
True.
Have you had many holidays this last couple of years?
Well, I've just been away recently. Actually, I've just been to Spain for a couple of weeks, which
you probably needed that.
It's rare I go away, to be fair, that sort of stuff. And really, I love going abroad.
Good timing, though. Was it a couple of weeks?
It was.
A couple of weeks, just before. Now you're on the trail of this magnificent book that's just come out.
Bless you, sir.
I'll hold it up to the camera. I can see it. Yeah, Cookout. So you're now an official published author.
Yeah. So again, from in that day job to sort of a bit of TV to trying to make a bit of living as a speaker to then getting the chance to write my own book. I mean, it's literally been a story that I'd never foreseen. From all these moments that I've gone through, the moments I spoke of last time. Yeah. The personal achievements of the mountains I climbed, the life I left behind, to having the chance to really bring a childhood dream to fruition is one that I don't think I've really come to terms with myself yet, to be honest.
I'm holding it in my hand. It's hefty. It's 80 plus meals. I mean, you used to have to go 80 meals. I'm going to have to learn to cook some more meals.
Well, I think
Did you know 80 meals before this?
I think all the ones I know are in there, I think, for the outdoor side of things. But it was, again, they were all cooked on location as well. So it was every time heading out, there wasn't any sort of studio shots like I imagine most books are. You book a studio for 3 weeks and you just get cooking. It was heading out each time, carrying the gear out. The weather didn't always play ball, so we have to abandon a few shoots and come back. So an elongated process, but seeing the thing all come together now and how it's in its fullest form. I mean,
you obviously share when people have said, "Oh, I've got his book," and they're cooking meals.
Great.
It's just endless.
It's been great so far, and it's only literally.
Have a hold of that, Liam.
I'm not sure when you release this sort of thing, it's quite quickly, but it's literally been just less than a week and a half since it was out.
This is coming out on Monday, so
next
Monday.
These books are the only books that I own, cookbooks,
that he never cooks out of.
But, no, usually what happens is I find one recipe in one that I really like, and then that's it. I bookmark that, and I only use the book for that one recipe.
I think I'm similar. I always buy them and they just sit there on the last on the bookshelf. They look nice, but you sometimes only pick them up once or twice, don't you? But I just it's like an addiction, isn't it? I guess buying more and more.
But you've got an audience for that, because that is all the people who go camping, like they say, the caravan people who will. You've inspired them to sort of go, well, what can we cook with what we normally bring with us? They probably don't think to cook that much, always eat out or bring basic stuff, but as you proved last time you were here, it's like you can knock something up pretty good with very little equipment. As long as you get the right equipment.
Yeah, for sure. But that's what I've tried to do. I've tried to talk all about food, how it should go about, the equipment you need to use, perhaps, what we should be doing in the outdoors too. Very conscious about how we leave the environment as well, heading out there. Because I suppose the criticism I mainly do face sometimes from people that don't read fully into what I do is perhaps thinking I'm going out there and leaving, open fires in the national park, or leaving scorch marks, or leaving,
Do not see the camp stove.
Well, absolutely, or leaving sort of organic matter out there, washing in the waterways. But I bring it all back down again, leaving that environment exactly how it's found.
You're Cumbrian. We don't do that.
Absolutely. But I think it's all those educational tools that come in. I mean, I've done some great work with schools lately as well, talking about that sort of stuff as well. Kids that have never been to these areas before in their life. And sometimes when you come out of that world and appreciate the privilege of what you've had growing up in an area like this, you don't really realise how special it can be.
First came across you, whenever it was before all this. Yeah. I'd never even thought of cooking a meal on top of it. I was like, oh yeah.
I don't think many do, to be fair. I think it's for good reason.
You take stuff like energy drinks and snacks and maybe a sandwich, but like to actually cook a meal, I was like, wow, that's a great idea. So I'm assuming that's what lots of other people have. Because I've seen videos of you, or you've put clips of other people imitating what you do. Yeah. So that's cool.
No, it's wonderful, and it's always a great feeling to get those sort of tags and those responses, I guess, of, as you say, perhaps maybe inspiring people. I never really use those words because I think it's not my place to.
I do.
I'm just trying to maybe just see food in a slightly different way, and I think, again, I never intended on that to become anything. It was just a niche that I found myself because I enjoyed those two aspects. It wasn't me going, oh, no one else is doing this. It wasn't as calculated as that, but it's just led on to this path, and I suppose...
So how did this come about? What was the...
Well... Basically, I got an offer from the publishers, Vertebrate Publishing, in October. So that was basically, I had a lady who was helping me try and get a book deal at one point, who was working slightly on the side.
Pretty much a year ago?
Yeah, a year ago sort of now. And
you signed it now as well, so that's worth loads.
I found my meal as well.
What's your meal?
He's got one.
Chicken biryani.
Oh, it's nice.
I did beef goulash.
You said you did the goulash, yeah.
It was nice. My daughter approved.
Fantastic stuff.
I'm quite fussy as well, so when I go through these books, I'll find like a meal, oh, that looks nice, or it's got an ingredient I don't like, forget it.
Just the one. You can always swap it out.
One or two, maybe.
Swap it out and make it your own.
That's true, yeah.
That requires
a bit
independent thought. No thanks.
He's a follow instructions kind of guy, aren't you?
Yeah.
To the letter.
Yeah.
Serves two. These are brilliant.
Yeah, and hopefully I've tried to sort of say on there what sort of equipment you need as well, because of course if you are going into the outdoors, it's not just the ingredients you need now. When you're at home in the kitchen, you've got everything to hand. So, You need to know what you're carrying out there as well. Perhaps a slightly different way of cooking using that one single heat source as well. So it's all been thought about on that frontage. It's not particularly lightweight, but I'm not trying to convince people to go and cook like this doing John O'Groats to Land's End, for example. But this is something else if you're going for, a surf by the beach, a little dog walk, or you're going out just for a little walk for the day, or even on a campsite on a holiday. These little dishes you can get involved in with the family or knocking up for a group of you to come back to after a nice walk. So just seeing food and nature and adventure in a different way, really. But about a year ago it came together, so it was...
So did they come to you with the full idea, or did they say, would you like to do a book? And you went, what would I do a book about?
Well, basically, I met a lady called Lisa Edwards, who at the time was the partner of a chap that was doing an article with me for Country Farm magazine. And we'd gone walking. They were doing the Cumbria Way at the time, and she used to work a lot in publishing. Now, she'd worked in the past quite big publishing heads, and sort of saw my thing. And she was also in sobriety herself, so she'd heard a bit about my story, listened to a podcast. Perhaps it was this one.
Hopefully it was this one. Yeah.
It'd been about the same time, so it could have been.
Yeah. I mean, you were here last time. We went pretty in depth.
Yeah, of course. One of my earlier ones then as well, but I hadn't done too many at the time.
No.
I mean, as you
Plus
say,
we do the clips, we do the segments, so we put the segment of all the important bits of it out.
Absolutely.
So maybe it was. Not that it matters.
It could have.
But anyway, she heard your story.
Yeah, and she sort of saw the full picture, and she saw, that's had the logo and stuff bits on there, and she's going, "Have you got a book deal?" I said, "No, I've not got a book deal." I said, maybe one day, who knows? Again, very much just flying by the seat of my pants in life. I'm still kind of doing now. You may have gathered that.
Stop telling people you do that. You're supposed to be professional.
too honest, I think. But it's and then about maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, after the walk, she sent me an email and said, "Look, I'm thinking about becoming an agent. Do you want to be my first signing?" So I said, "Well, yeah."
So she's an agent just like for books.
Yeah. So
cool.
she worked previously as a publishing editor, and now she's going into publishing sort of agent work and a bit of freelance editorial stuff. And again, at the time, I suppose, she knows a lot more about the industry than I do, so it's better having those people in your corner. So I signed with her, and then at the time she was trying to broker a deal, I suppose, trying to approach. We'd done a bit of a brief, so I'd done a brief together about an outdoor cookbook.
So it's pretty straightforward. This is pretty much what you had initially thought of.
Yeah, exactly. So it was recipes in the outdoors to cook on there whilst you're going camping in various bits, and we approached a few different publishers, and then Vertebrae basically came back and said, "Well, it's funny you should message us because we were just talking about you in the office today." Because they're well known for their outdoor sort of books and guidebooks and that sort of way, but hadn't done anything foodie related before. Because of course,
well,
it's slightly
as far as they're concerned, this is something a bit different.
Yeah.
So
but it ties to both of those in, I suppose. It's a different sort of market, but with the outdoors, and hopefully has a bit of a niche of its own.
Yeah.
And that set the ball rolling. So we signed the deal in October. Then we were out straight away in winter. My housemate and good friend Kenny Block was the photographer.
Kenny D. Block.
Kenny D. Block, that's it. That's what the
I
D
follow him.
stands
So
for.
Brilliant photographer, isn't he?
Well, that's it. And he's a local lad as well. He's only Whitehaven way, not far from here. And again, fantastic story
So
as
all
well.
the photos in here of his?
They're all his, all
Awesome.
Kenny's, apart from one at the back, which is Daniel Toll, who was another chap that used to go out quite a bit in Kendal, who started off the photography side of things.
Shot, to be fair. Pull that
It was a
camera.
lovely golden hour bit that year, up to Fleetwood Pike sort of way. And it just sort of came together. So we started going out there, started cooking the meals, started compiling the book. Initially, it was a March deadline, I think, again.
Wow, that wasn't long.
It wasn't long at all. No. And just like my school days, I think I was pushing that to the wire. But unlike a university essay, you can't quite do a book overnight.
No.
So we pushed that back a few more times. They were quite patient with me, thankfully. And around sort of maybe July time, we'd finished the reshoots, finished the book, and then it was off to the printers. And then literally, as I say, I'd gone away to Spain. I was away there. I think you got a copy maybe in your doorstep before.
I think I did.
I saw one. And I came back from Spain, and there it was. I
was like, my words were when it came in the envelope. I was like, "Nah, it's just too heavy. This can't be his." And I was like, "Wow!" But you know what? It makes total sense because this is exactly what it should be.
Well, I had the same. It was bigger than I expected it to be. Actually, it was much chunkier because I think I'd seen the sample copy, which was just a little, little small.
Yeah.
Blade, little sort of 20 pages, and then all of a sudden it comes through, and you go, "That's a right door stopper, isn't it?" But
even if you just look at the pictures, it makes you hungry.
well, as it should.
Some of these
do.
are like, wow. Oh,
as it should do. And
I've already eaten, but I'm hungry.
I was chuffed to get. There's a review just popped up actually on the Amazon page. I was chuffed to see because one guy said about how the fact that it does something that most books don't do, and the fact it's got a photo for every single recipe. And I was like, I'm glad he said that because that was a conscious sort of thought that. I always hate it when you read a recipe book. You'll be the same, but when you sort of open a page and it's just the words, and you're like, I want to see the dish.
What should it look like?
It looks like.
Well, that's the thing. That looks great. I want to know what it is and how to make it.
For sure.
Then
But then why doesn't mine look like that?
That is the problem.
You need some sort of reference of like, is it supposed to? Is what I've made anywhere near what it's supposed to be? A picture helps.
Well, I'll be saying that about some of those dishes myself, probably. I mean, I'm trying to
Or like
replicate my own products.
Or easier when you go to a restaurant, you go, I want that one. Just point to a picture. I'll have that one, please.
It is, or sometimes they have ones that are almost like making of pictures, don't they? Where it's like this
Yeah.
first little bit, and you go, well, I can't see how's it meant to look at the end, or you just rolled in the dough out of a rolling pin there. And that's the only picture you put in. But so that was a conscious fix. I was glad that came to.
Was it
to note from
difficult
that review.
to decide on the cover? Was it much deliberation over
There
what
was a bit of talk, yeah. It was. I mean, at first, I suppose.
meal is that?
So that's like a Tuscan bean stew there, with like a garlic and herb flatbread, on haystacks, looking down to Buttermere there.
Yeah. I knew it was somewhere like, because I'm not familiar with Buttermere, so it must be somewhere over there.
Yeah,
If it was
that's somewhere.
Ullswater or...
Well, that's Wainwright's favourite fell himself, that one. So a bit of a
Ah.
nod to that sort of thing. And I suppose, yeah, there was talk of maybe do we go more illustrated or do we go me on the cover? But then perhaps it was kind of going, well, does anyone actually know who I am? So it might be a bit more of a market if we...
Do you know who I am?
Outdoor food. I've never used that phrase and hope never to. But again, I think it was just trying to see a bigger picture of the fact that there's probably a lot more people who like outdoor cooking than there are people that know who Harrison Ward Fell Foodie is. So it was looking more at the food side, again, taking in that vista that's always inspired me in the Lake District Fells, being up high on the mountaintops. But again, I've aimed this very much at food and adventure. It's not about cooking on the mountains. It's about cooking in the outdoors.
Yeah.
So, whether that is just down at base camp, whether that's paddleboarding for the day and have a little cook up on a nice little
Or in
island.
your caravan even.
Absolutely. Even making it at home first and packing it out into a nice little food flask. It's just enjoying a nice view with some good food rather
That
than
isn't just like a sandwich or the standard things that people
that's
take.
it, or the dehydrated meal or the meal deal from Tesco, exactly. Other supermarkets are available.
That's awesome. Well done.
Thank you, sir. Yeah,
Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought?
Oh, absolutely. No, it is really bonkers really seeing that whole sort of journey. And again, from cooking with my grandmother and a very young sort of when I was younger to sort of coming full circle and being able to compile this all together and really share a bit of why I've done this and why food has played a part in my journey. Because I'm not a chef, I'm just a cook. I've just always enjoyed how food brings people together. And
What's the definition of a chef then? What if you're not a chef? What is a chef?
Well, I suppose people see it differently. I mean, I suppose most people might dub themselves a chef or even jokingly just say, I'm chef for the night. But for me, I see it very much as someone who's trained. They've gone through the culinary college. They've gone through that level.
Right,
They've worked their way up through an industry. Wherever I am very much someone who's just watched a few TV programs, picked up a knife and given it a go. Really, so I'd always sort of say cook rather than chef, and it's a very different thing. Having spent some time in professional kitchens during my hospitality days, not permanently, but covering sort of other chefs who weren't there on the day. It's a very different beast. I mean, I'm not saying perhaps that cooks can't cook food as well as chefs, because I think sometimes it could be tastier dishes, but chefs very much, it's almost like that factory precision of getting things out on the timings, getting them perfectly right, the pre-prep.
Have you seen Boiling Point?
Oh, unbelievable, isn't it?
Have you watched it?
I have. I've not seen The Bear yet. We'll probably get onto that in a second.
Have you seen the new series?
No, I've only seen the film so far. Only the film.
So that's all I played, all the episodes of Boiling Point. I mean, I'm not into cooking really, but I was fascinated.
Yeah.
I saw the initial one that they did, which was filmed with one camera. So it would go to like someone in the one of the staff in the restaurant taking an order. Then it would follow them into the kitchen. Then it would stay with like the sous chef. Then it maybe go to the head chef while he was doing something. Then he'd shout across to someone in the pot wash or something. Then it would follow him. But in between all that, there was all little stories to intertwine.
Yeah.
It only stayed with one camera for the whole thing, and it was only about half an hour, 40 minutes, was it the initial one? And then when they announced they were doing a series, I was like, that would make a perfect series, and they nailed it.
But the film was like the whole time through. It was one take.
One take, yeah.
It was like a play. It was like watching a play.
It starts off like that in this series, but then it goes to multiple cameras. But
I've heard
there's no way that they could do that with all this. But
a nice little homage,
they
though,
didn't
to where
need
it
to.
started.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But if anyone's even slightly into cooking, or even if you're not, it's just a good watch. Not just about the food side of it, but like how a kitchen works and like what these staff members have got going in their lives. Very interesting.
But then even sort of the filming side, you're thinking, how did they get all the sound, Bob, on doing all that? So tracing that around, unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, I was actually, it was Matt Tebbett I was watching talk at a festival recently. Again, I didn't meet him, but he was just talking, watching him, and he was saying about The Bear. I've not seen that yet.
I've not seen that either.
And he said he only watched an episode or two because it basically gave him PTSD, I think, watching it. So it must be pretty realistic, but I think it's just a different skill set altogether. I very much admire what they go through in terms of those long hours, the dedication they put in on the chefing side. I mean, it's something that obviously I've spent 14 years front of house, really, with a little bit of back of house, but I just feel as if it's not my place to call myself a chef. I feel it's almost a bit like a nurse calling themselves a doctor in a way.
Yeah. So have you had any reviews of this yet? Have you had much feedback?
Yeah, so far. I mean,
have you looked at the Amazon reviews?
Amazon's where I've seen most of them so far, yeah. So they've all been very positive. There's
I'd imagine so.
One 4-star slip through so far, which I've not taken too deeply, but The only thing that's kind of
It's funny though what people knock a star off for.
well, that's the thing. They haven't said.
Oh,
So I'm kind of like, I'm like absolutely fair play. You know, if you want to give it 1 star, if it's that poor, if it's really narked to you, absolutely fine. But to give a very good review and then say 4 star, I'm going, well, what was the problem?
Why wasn't what was,
Where's the improvement?
where's
Where's
what do I have to
feedback?
do to get the extra star?
I know.
Come and cook it at your house.
Delivery was a day late. 4 stars.
Yeah.
I know that's it. Yeah, that was my fault to be fair. I was stuck on the M6. No,
That's what you really want. Like you cook at his house, you go. You're there going, go on, log in. Change it to 5, please.
But I guess that's part of it, and that's sort of the world we're in too, isn't it? Again, we mentioned the social media side before. Again,
Yeah.
you put yourself out there, and I suppose it's kind of part and parcel. Sometimes you might get elements of criticism on bits on there. I've been quite lucky, to be fair. I've not received, a lot at all really on there, but I mean, it's something that could still come. Perhaps on the fact that I'm quite open about my personal sort of battles and things, but it could be something you put a lot of
the more
work
famous
in.
you get, the more negative.
Well,
comments you'll get.
undoubtedly.
Always, it's just the way it works. But in a way, that's the sign that you've made it. Really,
Maybe so.
if you get hate, people think you're terrible, then you've made it.
Well, it's all good for that algorithm that we all try and work out, I guess. Isn't it? Any comment's a good comment, but I suppose when it's something like that, when you put a lot of work into the book, you tried your best to do bits, and you may have particularly missed one thing out before it's gone to print. And hopefully,
if they're going to pick you out for things like that,
you
I would
don't
just
know,
ignore
do you? I
that.
mean, so far, I've not come across anything that way, but I'm sure someone will find that. And again, if you have found that after listening to this, then please do leave a 4-star review. But no, it's just great seeing it out in the wild. It's seeing it great, sort of how it's been taken and
initially,
approached.
I remember it was first people just thought, oh, I've got it. And then now it's like people cooking meals out of it. And
Oh, there's one today that's really sort of, again, just I think puts it all down to exactly what this is about. And it was a young scout group, I think, and one of the scout leaders had bought the book, and literally all these kids there in this big village hall, all with camping stoves, all cooking, dishes from my book.
wow.
And
That's
it was
awesome.
You're just there going, this is what it's about. That is exactly it. If that's the impact you were trying to leave, even if it was, not consciously, that was what I was trying to achieve. That is.
So it's like health implications of all this as well.
Well, maybe that side of thing. I mean, they were cooking pancakes.
Better diet.
But I suppose the term influencer gets thrown around sort of the social media side of things. It's one I don't really like because the connotations of it perhaps sometimes.
What you just said
but
there,
that sort of
that
thing
is
there,
influencing people.
exactly.
So you are an influencer.
If that sort of influence is is how it's going to be foreseen, then I'll definitely take that one for sure. So
You are 100% influencer. You are.
We're sorry.
We're sorry, but you just are. That's just the way
That's
it is.
it. Fell Foodie 10 for bubble tea discounts.
But no, it's just because you obviously share when other people like cooking and showing your book and stuff, and it seems to be endless.
So far, I mean, I suppose it's early days and that sort of thing, but it's always been great. I suppose the first times you got someone cooking up the hillside, or even if they'd actually just made a sandwich to take up with them and they tag you and stuff, it's just nice that you've played a part in that sort of thing some way, or they want to almost showcase what they've done to you, sort of thing. And sometimes it might be better, but it's just nice to see and nice to have that. That is what social media should be about, that community aspect, I think, of sharing bits and people. Again, I found a lot of things out through social media. When I first got into the hiking, I didn't know where to go, what certain equipment to use, or what to take out. But I tried camping and things, and you learn from other people.
That's
So
it.
there is very much an educational tool there. I think that gets forgotten about, a lot of the bad press that perhaps comes with poorer campaigns or some trolling on there sometimes in bits. But it literally has been the sole reason why I've come to this point of having that book out. While I've shared that story, why I had the chance to go on the television, has all been from just sharing that to the world on.
It's all led to
on
this
Instagram
right now.
page. Absolutely. And it's led to me being in this room right now on this podcast.
Yes. Announcing to the world that this book is out and it's fantastic.
Thank you, sir. That's very kind. That's very kind. Well, I was glad you managed to get a copy. And so it's just the one dish you've cooked so far from there, then.
Just the one so far. That's all I've had time to do. I'll
that's
probably
more than
do a
I've
lot
just come
more next spring when I start getting out and about a bit more and the weather gets a bit
Are you
better.
going to go
and
out as
stuff.
well?
I think I'm going to try.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
That's great stuff. I think I do expect most people to actually do a lot of them at home, to be fair.
Yeah, they will. They definitely will. That's the easier option. But yeah, I'd like to. Maybe we can go and do one together.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
You be up
Let's
for
do
that?
Yeah, sure. So I bring a microphone.
Yeah, bring pointing the microphone in our face while we.
That'll be part 3 of the
Part 3,
the
yes.
third appearance. Well, I think this is my first time being a second appearance on a podcast, to be fair. So
It is. Oh, you've never been on one twice?
no, this is my
okay.
first time. So
You're the
it's-
first person who returned since we've been at Sunbeams.
Really?
Yeah.